look up here. I don't know if Matt can see up there. Yeah, we got coolant all over here. Hello viewers, welcome to Keith's Auto and Truck Repair. Today we have a 2019 Mercedes Sprinter with a 3.0 liter engine. The customer complaint on this vehicle is there is coolant leaking from under the engine. And the customer also said that he suspects an oil leak under the engine. Now, I have to mention that the owner of this vehicle is one of our subscribers here on our YouTube channel. His name is Kidan, and he drove from Texas to come to our shop. So he drives around the country. He went from Texas to North Carolina. When he got to North Carolina, he reached out to me and I gave him the shop's address. He drove to our shop and now here we are. So this vehicle has over 300,000 miles. We're gonna do a visual inspection under the hood, and then we're also gonna do a visual inspection under the vehicle to see what we're gonna find, and then we'll go from there. Now, the check engine light is not on the dash. The vehicle is not losing power. The only issue is the coolant leak and the oil leak. Now, before we do a visual inspection under the hood, I would like to give a shout out to cameraman Matt. Cameraman Matt is behind the camera. Matt, thanks for being here. So now let's go under the hood. All right, so we're here under the hood. Let's see what we got. So we're looking here. I don't really see a leak up here. I'm going to disconnect the mass airflow sensor and this pressure sensor here. I'm gonna remove the air filter box. Let's see if we're gonna find something. So we're gonna pop this air filter box up. And then we're gonna undo this. So right now what I wanna do is I wanna figure out where the leak is coming from, and then we're gonna make an estimate for the customer. Now this customer is staying in Frederick. He's staying here in town for a week. So I told him go downtown Frederick. It's a pretty good town here, and go make some friends. Matt is laughing. Why are you laughing, Matt? All right, I don't see anything here. Now, let's go under the vehicle and see what we're gonna find. There's one thing I noticed here before we go under the vehicle. So this belt over here, you see the belt? Yeah, it's kind of chirped there. Okay, that belt needs to be replaced. We gotta figure out why. Maybe that pulley is bent. Okay, now there's one thing I saw. I see coolant over here. So Matt, if you can come on this side, there's coolant over here on this valve cover. And there's also some traces of coolant here around the EGR valve. Look at this. Okay, now we might have to pressurize this surge tank.
Do it now?
Yeah, to see where, so we can figure out where the leak is coming from. Now, before we pressurize this, let's go under the vehicle. Look at this. So this is coolant. You see this stain over here? Oh, this is coolant. So we need to figure out where this coolant is leaking from. Whoa, look up here. I don't know if Matt can see up there. Yeah, we got coolant all over here. And then there's one more thing I noticed. I noticed that this electric rack and pinion, the electrical connector on the motor looks cracked. It looks like someone, I don't know if someone jacked this electric motor. Yeah, look at this. Yeah, so this connector, someone broke this. If I push this down too hard, I might break it. So I'm sure the customer is gonna see this video. So this thing is gonna wanna be replaced at some point. All right, so as you can see, we have a huge coolant leak coming from somewhere. So we're gonna pressurize the cooling system so we can figure out where this leak is coming from. So Robin is gonna pressurize the cooling system for us.
Pump it up to about 20.
Yeah, about 20 psi. So I'm looking up here.
It's almost there. That's 20.
Oh, so we got coolant dripping over there.
Where?
Okay, did you hold the pressure? Oh, right there.
Yes.
Yeah, you see it right, kind of right here. Yeah,
About 21 pounds.
yeah. So just hold it there. I saw coolant dripping somewhere up there. You see? Oh, there. You see it? Wait. That's good to see. Nice. Let's wait. Right here. There. All right. So you saw the other drop. Now the question is, where is that coming from? It looks like we're gonna have to remove this cover. So Robin, there's coolant leaking from somewhere around the valve cover.
Okay.
Somewhere around the valve cover on the driver's side. That's odd though. Because I know on these sprinters, sometimes what leaks is there's usually an electric water pump up here
Right.
that leaks coolant, but this one doesn't have it. But where is this coolant coming from? So we're gonna have to remove this cover. All right, so now I'm gonna get the tools. We're gonna remove the silencer and then we're gonna pop this cover off. All right, we removed the cover that covers the injectors on the driver's side. I'm gonna show you what we found. If cameraman Matt can come here. So look, this is the first injector on the driver's side. The first injector is dry. The second injector is a little wet. Look at the third injector back there. There's literally coolant around this. Now we have Robin on the surge tank. So Robin is going to pressurize our cooling system. Go ahead.
All right.
So watch that.
Pump it to about 20 pounds.
So we're pressurizing the cooling system. Look, we're not supposed to have coolant here. So we have coolant basically coming out of the injector hole. Yeah, look at that. So it's gonna overflow and that's where the leak is. So are we pressurized to
20 pounds.
20 psi? Nice. Yeah, so this is the problem. We should not have coolant here. So you're not supposed to have coolant in this area. Now the question is, where is this coolant? Look at my finger. My finger is dry, right? I'm gonna touch here. I mean, you guys can see. Now my finger is wet. Where is that coolant leaking from? That's a big problem. All right, so Robin, you saw that.
Yes, I did.
What do you think? Where is that coolant coming from?
A cylinder.
Cylinder head?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I believe the cylinder head coolant jacket is leaking.
Yeah.
So that's a big no-no because when the customer dropped off the vehicle, he thought it was the oil cooler.
Yes.
I don't think the oil cooler is leaking. We can use a bore scope
Right.
to go under there just to double check.
Yes.
Because I kind of took a quick peek around the oil cooler, although I couldn't really see down there,
Right.
but it looks dry.
Right.
So we can double check. I don't think that's where our problem is.
But remember, what the customer was saying that it was coming from the bottom of the vehicle, the coolant at the bottom of the vehicle.
Yeah, but guess what? If you look, we saw it earlier. If you're looking at it from under the vehicle, it looks like it's coming from the bottom. It's not. It's coming from the top. It's dripping down.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. That's bad news, guys. That's bad news. So, cameraman Matt, here's what I'm gonna do. So we found a leak here, coolant leaking around the injector. You should never ever have coolant leaking around the injector. So we're gonna have to remove the injector, and we possibly have to remove the valve cover too, to see exactly where it's coming from. But just based on how well I know these engines, I can tell that the coolant jacket is leaking there. So now I'm gonna grab our camera. I'm gonna grab a bore scope. We're gonna use our bore scope to look around the oil cooler. I don't think it's leaking, but we're just gonna look.
Right.
And then after that, we're gonna be done.
Yes, sir.
What else do you think that can cause this?
You can even say we could not even check the exhaust system by startup
And see if it's gonna leak?
yeah, see if the fumes coming out.
That's a good question, but the thing is, okay, so the leak is actually around the injector core.
Okay.
Okay, so if the injector seal is sealing properly, you may not have coolant falling into the combustion chamber.
Oh, okay.
So you may not see it
Right.
on the tailpipe,
Right.
unless it's a big leak to the point where you can see it. But the thing is, if it were a big leak, to the point where you can see it in the exhaust, you would have white smoke.
Right.
And this one was not smoking.
Oh, okay. That's
Yes. So I don't think we can see it that way. I mean, we can try. Just hey, for testing purposes, you know, we can start it and see what happens. But I don't think we'll see it from the exhaust. So this over here is I mean, at this point we are done. I mean, I know that that the head is leaking. You know, we shouldn't have coolant there. We should not have coolant there. So now I'm gonna grab the bore scope and then I'll bring you guys back up. All right, guys. So now we're gonna use our bore scope to check the oil cooler. So I'm gonna go down here. Yeah, nice. That's much better. So this is our oil cooler here. The oil cooler is not wet.
No, it's nice and dry.
What do you think, Robin?
It's dry out here.
Look at the bolts of the oil cooler.
Yep.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, it's dry.
Yeah, so that's the bottom of the turbo pedestal.
It's all dry.
Yeah, it's dry. So the oil cooler is not leaking. Let me check the back over here. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, we don't have... Man, this video's crap. Yeah, look.
No
It's
leak.
not wet, no leaks.
No leak there.
The oil cooler is not leaking. If the oil cooler was leaking, we would have a lot of
A pool down there.
a pool down there. Yeah, look at that.
Nope, all dry.
What's that? There's a little line there.
Yeah.
Someone dropped a fuel line there or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, we're done. All right. We're done. What do you think, Robin?
Bad news for the customer.
Bad news for the customer?
Yeah.
So, yeah, look, we have a pool of coolant over there
Just laying ahead.
around the injector. Look, it's actually getting worse.
There.
Yeah. Is it still pressurized?
Yes.
Yeah, look, it's getting worse actually. All right. We're done. The oil cooler is not leaking. The leak is coming from the injector.
Yep.
I mean, not the injector itself, but the water jackets
Water jacket.
in the cylinder head are leaking. So to fix this, we're gonna have to either remove the head, send it to the machine shop so they can fix it, or change the head, or change the engine. Now, this engine has over 300,000 miles, so probably change the engine.
Because if you're gonna do a cylinder head, you gotta be complete engine rebuild at 300,000 miles.
Yeah. Now, I guess I can call the customer and let him know, but even if we call the customer and tell him, I'm sure he's gonna ask us the estimate.
Yes.
And then I'm gonna give the customer two estimates, maybe three estimates. One, to replace the engine. The other one, to remove the head, take it to the machine shop and get it fixed.
Right.
And then the third one would be buying another head and installing it. And then he can decide whatever estimate he would like to go with.
Right.
So we're gonna leave this right over here. This was a quick and easy one. You know, there might be a follow-up video. We're probably gonna make a follow-up video to let you guys know what the customer is gonna decide. He's coming from far. So because when we first talked about it, we did not check, but based on what he told me, I thought the oil cooler was leaking.
Yes.
And I told him if it needs an oil cooler, it's gonna take us about 2 to 3 days to fix, you know, cleaning and getting all the parts and everything. So he actually agreed to stay here in Frederick, Maryland for a week. Now that we looked at it, so if we end up doing this, he might stay here for longer than a week.
An apartment.
So he might have to get an apartment, stay here longer, or maybe stay in a hotel for a lot longer. So I will bring you guys back up and let you know what the customer is gonna decide, and then we'll go from there. So Matt, thanks for being here. Thanks for your awesome work. My man Robin, thank you. All right, if you're not a subscriber, subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you have any comments, questions, criticism, leave them in the comment box. If you have ever encountered this issue, let us know how you fixed it. To those of you that work on Sprinter vans, let me know if you had already fixed this. And if you haven't, if you were working on this, how would you go about fixing this? Thanks everybody, see you next time.